Hello and welcome back everyone to FPLTIPZ's live stream. I know it's been a while. It's been about 5 weeks, I think, since 5 or 6 weeks since I've done my last stream. I'm sorry for that. I was at home and I'm back at uni now. My Wi-Fi at home is not quick enough to support my streams, so there's nothing that I can really do about that, unfortunately. But I'm here for this week and ahead of the last game week of the season, so we will be having just adjusting my screen, sorry, we will be having streams for the rest of this FPL season and hopefully into the next season as well. Have I been busy with my new job? No, I don't start until September, but yeah, I was at home and I don't have enough Wi-Fi. It was the break between terms at university, so yeah, so now I am back and ready to go for the final couple of game weeks. So how have all you guys done this game week? 129 minus 4. I presume, Clement, you triple captained this game week, because if you didn't, then that's some ridiculous score. Presumably had Mane in your team, Salah as well, to be reaching a score like that. I imagine. So yeah, a little bit of an update on my team. So in the past 6 weeks, I've had a bundle of green arrows, as we sort of expected. Not quite to the same extent that I have, but I sort of expected them with chips being played and the planning that the planning that that went into all those blanks and doubles that are now over. So yeah, my overall rank, as you can see, moved from 59k, which is what it was on my last stream, down to just 18k now. So yeah, a massive jump, which is great to see. 2 game weeks left, wanting to just finish inside the top 20k. That's the aim. I still have my triple captain, and we'll get on to when I'm going to be playing that and everything like that in a little while. Triple captain Salah, Mane, Robertson, exactly what you need. Big score. Congratulations, Clement, on that. Let me just... Clement, it looks like you're going to need to be doing a lot of talking in the chat. I'm not sure people know the stream's back. It's been off for a while. But anyway, so let me just change that. There we go. So yeah, this game week, I played. I can give you a quick run through of some of the major game weeks for me. So this game week, we'll start and we'll work towards this game week. If my app wants to work, no, okay, that's fine. So come on, we'll go from 33. The first blank. No, 31. The first blank, I scored 41. Which wasn't great. I don't know. I think we've streamed that. 32 was the free hit week. I scored 111. Thanks to Ashley Young getting me -1 on my free hit. But Captain Aguero had Hazard, Son, Jota all in my team. Azpilicueta in defence and Laporte. So that was good. Game week 33, the second blank. 84, good enough. Captain Hazard, also had Vardy in my team, Salah, Maddison, couple of clean sheets at the back as well. 50 in game week 34, the game week that I wildcarded. Not ideal. I wildcarded in Troy Deeney, which was a slight shame, which is now I've got Andre Gray in my team. So game week 35, I then bench boost and I brought in Messina and I brought in Andre Gray into my team. And then that's the same team I bench boost with. I haven't made a transfer since then. 111 my bench boost. I'm very happy with that. Captain Son, unfortunately, but it was either Son, Sterling or Aguero, so it's nothing major lost that week. from captaincy last week, the week just gone, 86. A good week for me. Captain Mane was a very late call. It was almost on Sterling. Very almost on Sterling. And I'm just happy that I put it on Mane. No, it was on Mane the whole time, but I was kind of thinking I should put it on Sterling. But it worked out well. Trent also on that night. It was a very good night for me. I mean, it gave me a red arrow this week. I was at 13, 14k or something like that before this week. Score of 86 gave me a red arrow, which is slightly disappointing, but not much that can be done about that. Andre Gray on my bench with 8. Again, I was never going to start him over Eriksen or Son. There was a small chance I started him over Eriksen, thinking Eriksen got rested, but I didn't want to take that risk. Andre Gray on my bench with 8 and Valerie with 4, but it was never. They were very unlikely to ever make my starting lineup. Jota doing very well again, and if we look into my team for next week, I haven't made any transfers yet, so I've got 2 free transfers in the bank. Currently lined up like this, except I will have Valerie in the defensive spot over Duffy. If I wasn't to make a transfer, I mean, there's a chance that I make a defensive transfer, or in the midfield as well, or up front actually. I've looked at possibilities for them all. So yeah, this is it. I have 2 free transfers this week, so there will be a transfer made. Captaincy could be going on many people. Mane, Sterling, Aguero, Jota could all get it, even Son, as Son is again likely to start due to his rest, due to him not playing tonight in the Champions League. And I don't know if you saw it, I retweeted a few things today that there is a rumour that Harry Kane's in the squad tonight. Now, yeah, Harry Kane. I think it's unlikely that he's in the squad, but you never know. So my thoughts on Man U assets. Now, we're hearing at the moment that Rashford and Lukaku are both injured. Now, it's more seems likely that that Rashford is, I think, but it seems like both of them could be. We got a tweet out from United Extra today, saying that Rashford and Lukaku both could miss the last 2 games, which does sort of impact it both positively and negatively on the rest of the players. I'll get back to that. Samir, welcome. Nice to have you here. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Nice to fire away any questions. I answer every single question in the chat. I mean, it's not very busy today, but I do my best. So what do I think of United players and United defence? I think the annoying thing about United defence, and the reason it makes it hard to judge, is that they often concede due to a error from one person. It was De Gea at the weekend. It seems to be De Gea a bit at the moment, and whether they start Romero could affect that. One of their centre backs maybe tends to come from a failure from one person rather than them. If they all played well, they wouldn't concede goals. So it's not like, you're saying, oh right, they're likely to keep a clean sheet. You don't know what's going to turn up. I personally think they might get a clean sheet in one of the next 2 games. When bringing in players now, you're bringing them in for the last 2, right? You need to be thinking that the player you need to bring in, you want to be scoring, getting return in one of the 2 games minimum. For a defender, for all my defenders, for the 4 that I'll be playing this game week and 4 that I went next game week, if I got 2 returns in each, including keeper and 3 defence, if I got 2 clean sheets one week and 2 clean sheets the next, I'd take that. That's fine. 1 every 2 weeks is more than enough for me. So United defence, I think I wouldn't go for anyone but Luke Shaw. Yeah, so I wouldn't go for anyone but Luke Shaw. There's in the defence, and I wouldn't go for anyone in attack other than Pogba. Maybe Martial, but I don't think it's. He seems to have fallen out. His attitude again isn't good. So, but then he looks, if Rashford and Lukaku are out, Martial kind of has to play. So, and he knows where the goal is. So that's a bit more of a risky one. A lot of people on Twitter are looking at Pogba at the moment. So the three that I'd be looking at are Martial, Pogba, and Shaw. Shaw gets forward, and a week ago, people didn't really pick up on it. Ole said in his press conference that they miss Pogba, miss Shaw. He's one of their best defensive and attacking players, and he picked up a clean sheet. Picked up an assist against Chelsea, and so I think he is a viable option as well. Yeah, those are the three, and I will have one of them at least coming into my team at some point. Am I going to take any hits in the last 2 weeks? So I've currently got 2 free transfers at the moment, and then I get another one next week, so that's 3. I'm not going to make more than 4 transfers. I'm going to try and stick to just the 3 and not take any hits, Samir. I don't think that's necessarily a problem with a hit. I wouldn't take a hit necessarily just for the last game week, though. If I was going to take a hit, I'd probably make that extra transfer that I was going to make this week, but we'll see. It kind of depends whether I'm happy with Valerie this week. As United have Huddersfield away, Cardiff at home, and Valerie has West Ham away, Huddersfield at home on the last day, and it's whether I feel that Valerie will score close enough to Luke Shaw to be worth just playing him these 2 weeks, and will Luke Shaw outscore him by 4 points to make up a hit that I would have to take to get him in ahead of my other plans that I have. So for me, but then again, if I brought in Shaw, I could still play Gunn over Lloris. Lloris has Everton at home, so I could play Gunn in goal for that Huddersfield at home game, and play Shaw. So that is another possibility. And then I need to think: does Gunn have a higher chance of scoring than Lloris next week? So we will see. But those are sort of dilemmas that I'm looking at in defence, and I'm nowhere near of working out what I think I should do. It's just 2 game weeks left, a lot to play for though. I still got my triple captain, likely to be played next week, although City at home this week is very tempting, and so are some of my other options this week, but I'm thinking of City next week, but there's still a lot could happen. How they perform this week, if City still look cagey this weekend, then it might not go on them. They haven't been firing in goals, so if I see the same again from this weekend, then I might move my triple captain elsewhere. So, yeah, guys, fire away all your questions. We've had a little chat about Man U assets. I'm gonna just tweet out the stream again just to. Um, So yeah, guys. Let me have a look. How many of you are? 3 of you watching. Okay. 4. Hi guys. Welcome to anyone else. Anyone who's watching but not in the chat, just say hello. So we know you're there. And for any questions you have about anything FPL related, football related, anything, let me know. So just want to talk quickly about the race for the top 4 a little bit. So as a Chelsea fan, as you can imagine, it's not something that I think is going very well. Well, it's not going very well for any of us. So yeah, I mean Chelsea need I think 6 points from their last 2 to sort of get it. I still think Arsenal are in with a shout now with that game being a draw. That the United Chelsea game being a draw does a lot more negatively for United than it did any positives for Chelsea. We're still If Arsenal were to win their game 1-0 this weekend and Chelsea were to draw with Watford, we would go into the last day of the season level on goal difference with Arsenal, level on points as well. So that could be interesting. I still think Chelsea. If Chelsea beat Watford this weekend, then it would really help us out. It would release a bit of pressure, but United look out of it now. If I'm honest, Chelsea need 3 points to make sure United can't get it, and I'd expect us to get that over the past few games. Spurs, I'm pretty certain will get it. It might go down to the last day of the season, but I do expect them to get third place. Am I only looking at teams playing against Huddersfield? I'm not, but I don't really like the fixtures that much. I mean, when it comes to the last day of the season, so let's say I bring in Pogba this week for one of my, I don't know who it'd be for. I would then, it's just that Southampton and United are the two teams that have probably the best fixtures over the last two. And Huddersfield, we know, especially on the road, don't score many goals. But next week, then I'd likely sell Jota and Jimenez, or at least one of them, because they've got Liverpool away, and I don't expect much from them, and I don't really want to start them against Trent, who I will be playing in my team. So I'm then going to be transferring out one or both of them. And then it will look to sort of 1 week punts, the likes of Newcastle, Palace, Bournemouth, those top sites of teams. But none of them have. Palace have Cardiff at home, and so that is a possibility. A Cardiff, someone like Van Aanholt into my defence, but I'm not sure I necessarily take a hit over playing Valerie personally. But yeah, so no, I'm not just looking at those players, but at the moment the only players I'm thinking of bringing in this week are United assets, and potentially Crystal Palace defence. Hi Varun, welcome. Nice for you to stop by. Thank you. Stream's a bit quiet today, but just fire in all your questions that you can, and I will answer them as best I can. Yeah. So then we just get on to. I suppose we spoke a little bit about the final game weeks. And what I'm sort of expecting from them. Yeah, I'm sat at 18k at the moment, and I am likely to. Well, I'm not likely to, but I'm hopeful. My aim is to finish just inside the top 20k. But for me, you might see me saying on Twitter, and it's sort of something that I find interesting, and it sort of might depend why you get into FPL in the first place that answers this question, is what's more important to you, your mini leagues or your overall rank. So for me, my mini leagues are more important because I pay money to enter them, and so I get money if I do well in them. So when it comes to it, I don't let it really affect my transfers or anything for the majority of the season, because for the majority of the season, it's I want to score as many points as I can. And now I suppose it's still I want to score as many points as I can, but with 2 game weeks left, I need to be slightly more thoughtful about what my rivals might be doing and trying to predict their moves. So whether I drop outside the 20k, if I'd rather finish outside the top 20k and win my mini league, which I'm close to the top of, than finish 10k and not win it. I know finishing 10k, I then am more likely to win it. Yes, that is technically the case, but I'd rather play a move that if I get to the lead, I'd rather play a defensive move than a risky one which could let him in. So yeah. In terms of captaincy this week, there are a lot. Just yeah, guys, all your questions, please. But in terms of captaincy this weekend, there are a lot. I think most people will be going on City, and I tweeted out last week that I don't like a Friday night captain or an early captain. I did end up captaining Mane, but a Monday night captain I do like. I preferably don't want my captain playing on a Saturday if I have an option, and if I have two that I can't decide between, it will then go to the person who's playing latest in the week. It's just how I do it. It's a stupid rule, but it's just how I seem to operate. So this week Sterling or Guerrero look likely, but I'm not past a gamble on Jota. He's been in flying form, so is Mane. So yeah, same with Son, who's not playing midweek, so is likely to play at the weekend. So it's up in the air at the moment. Yeah, who are you guys all looking to captain this weekend? Isn't the Bournemouth defence weaker than Leicester's? Not captaining Son. This is true, but City's team is much more firing, is much more ready to go, and much more sort of knows what's important, what's their season is at stake. I think the City team, and they're much more focused on the league, whereas Spurs aren't. I've captained Son for the past few weeks, and he hasn't done very much for me, sadly. So I don't know if I want to risk putting that armband back on him. Spurs, when do they play? I mean, Bournemouth defensively are weak. They are, but we've seen them put up defensive performances against some of the top teams this season. I know it's a sort of sorry, yeah. So at the moment, I'm not putting it on Spurs currently, but so lawyer. Let me have a look, guys. You're writing on this question, so please answer. I want 1 point and maybe 2 days to go. Do I take more hits and get Pogba on -8? So 9-point difference to this week when it gets is cash one of us. His team. So lawyer, if I look at it, if I'm honest, I'm thinking of bringing in Pogba because my rival has him. I'm not sure he's someone that I would necessarily bother bringing in. Who I wouldn't take a hit to bring him in. I don't. If your rival doesn't have him, your team is stronger than your rival's team. Your midfield is strong. I really like your midfield, and there's no one I would sell in that midfield for Pogba. Personally, I wouldn't be taking a hit to get him in. You're worried not having Pogba in your team, but as I've just been saying, you need to think about your decisions based on what your rival's team looks like, and your rival currently doesn't have Pogba in his team. Now, the move of Eriksen to Pogba seems very likely for your rival. It is a move that a lot of people in the community are making, so it is one to potentially think about for him. Except looking at the rest of his team, your team looks stronger on paper. I'm not sure where I'd bring in Pogba into your team. If he gets Pogba or not, that is very difficult. If you knew that he was bringing Pogba into your team, then the question comes. But there's not one player. I mean, if you could upgrade Milivojevic to Pogba, then great. But you probably don't have the cash in your team. So, JNO, would you get rid of... Welcome, JNO. If any of you guys don't know, JNO is a very big streamer on YouTube and does videos as well. Make sure... I mean, if you're watching me, I imagine all of you watch him already, so I don't need to tell you to go and follow him and all of that. Would I get rid of Vardy for the form he's in? Well, I got rid of him on my wild card straight away. And I probably would. Those 2 games at the end. The only issue is a replacement for him. A lot of the replacements for him have a good game either this week or a good game next week. There are very few strikers out there at the moment that have 2 good games. You could look at the likes of Southampton, but we don't know who. Long will probably start one and Ings will probably start the other. And then United, both their strikers are currently out, injured, with the other 2 good fixtures. So, and then with the news today that Harry Kane could be coming back before the end of the season, you then don't want to be looking at Fernando Llorente because he will lose his place there the minute Harry Kane can put one foot in front of the other. So, this is it. If you have... there aren't options for me that have 2 good fixtures left, JNO, is my personal opinion. I don't know who you'd think to be bringing in, so I wouldn't then necessarily be bringing in. I'd wait a week because you're going to get 1 bad fixture and 1 good fixture out of your striker anyway if you sell him. So you may as well take the bad fixture with a player like Vardy, who is very in form. I know he's away at City, but I know he's away at City, and there are easier games like Wilson having Spurs at home. It's definitely better than Vardy, but the chances that Burnley got against City, if one of those falls to Vardy, he is in the back of the net. So I wouldn't necessarily be looking to sell him this week because there aren't two strikers with two good games. So game week 31 punts. This is one I've been looking at my team because I'm currently sat with Jimenez in my team, who we all know have City away in Liverpool away in the last game. So if I just get up. So going in for the fixtures, yeah. So for the last week, I mean, you'd want a Southampton striker would be great, but you don't know which is going to start. If Shane Long starts again this weekend over Long, no, if Long starts over Ings this weekend, great. If we know Rashford's back, that's another good pick. In terms of, so if you're selling Vardy, if that's the type of budget you have, you can't stretch to the more expensive ones. I mean, a punt on a Watford striker. They're at home to Leicester. No, at home to West Ham even. The likes of Deeney if he's back in, although Andre Gray has been returning points. I don't know. Haven't watched them. I don't know if they're actually playing well. If he's playing well, I saw the goal he scored at the weekend, and it's not necessarily a great goal for him. Anyone could have scored that. I like Zaha. I like him as a punt, especially against that Bournemouth defence. But I also like Wilson going against Palace. I think Zaha is probably Wilson is better striker and has a higher ceiling, but he's playing against a Palace defence, whereas the Palace Zaha is playing against Bournemouth, a much weaker defence. So Zaha is really one I'm looking at. Elsewhere, it's then a Southampton striker if you knew who was going to play it. If not, Watford would be my suggestions. Anyone you think I've missed, please let me know. Always looking, as I will be having to bring one into my team. So guys, any questions, any more questions, please do let me know. The Player of the Month awards nominees have been announced. If my laptop. No, my laptop doesn't want to load anything, so it does this when I stream. So I don't know what's going on there. Yeah, guys. So I suppose if you don't have particularly any more questions, I suppose with the same, if you're talking about cheap midfielders, it's the same sort of teams that I'd be looking at. So Palace, you'd be looking at Milivojevic or Fraser from Bournemouth. Watford, Deulofeu is a good pick. We know what his ceiling's like, how much he can return. Burnley at home to Arsenal is another one. I think Arsenal will need something from that game, but Burnley, the likes of Chris Wood, McNeil, Ashley Barnes are all potential picks, potential differentials. And then you've got Newcastle away to Fulham is another one, actually. I'm looking at Rondon. Perez might be injured for the season, which could hinder his performance, but then they need even more from Rondon, although Newcastle's season is over, really. But then the likes of Southampton, Redmond, and James Ward-Prowse in the midfield. But if you guys don't have anything else want to ask, thoughts on on the best City option? So I have to say, I think that the three best City options are currently in my team. Aguero is the best forward option. Sterling is the best midfield option. Sane is also good, but I don't think he'll start both of the last two. And Laporte seems to be nailed on. If we knew that Zinchenko or Walker was going to play and you had unlimited budget, then yes, a fullback, but Laporte's a bonus point magnet. So I wouldn't be looking, if you wanted to do a differential, Bernardo, but then if Sane's playing, he's not playing out on the wing. So he could be brought back into the centre midfield, which does hinder his output. David Silva, he's come out and said, is the one who rotates with Sane. So again, Sane and David Silva will probably play one each. So it's hard to find a differential in that team if you want the one that plays both. Who am I going to captain this week? It's currently on Sterling. But Son and Jota could also get it. Maybe Aguero, as we know how much he likes a home game. He does perform better at home than he does on the road. So it could. Those are the four players: Jota, Sterling, Son, and Aguero. I don't think it'll go on Mane. I think that Newcastle side are a difficult opponent, but I don't expect them to struggle. I think they'll get 3 points there and put the pressure back on City, but I'm not sure there's as many points there, especially with 2 Champions League games. What if you could only have one of Sterling and Aguero? Sterling seems to be returning more. Sterling definitely seems to be returning more than Aguero. Aguero's consistency, he scored when they needed a 1-0, but I'd take Sterling over Aguero if I had to transfer one out. Although saying that, if that was just one face-to-face value, I'd take Sterling. Although the alternatives in the midfield are much better than the alternatives up front, in my opinion. So I'd rather have Aguero and another midfielder than Sterling and a striker. But if the way your team sets up literally means you're either playing a 3-4-3 with Aguero or a 3-5-2 with Sterling, then I'd say Sterling. But if you're going to be playing a 3-4-3 no matter which you have, then Aguero allows for a better option in midfield. You could get Pogba or someone like that in the midfield, but there isn't that option in the striking position. If that makes sense, JNO, if that sort of works out. The way I look at a lot of things is not necessarily just on individuals, it's on sort of combinations. So yeah, Sterling may be better on paper as an individual, but I'd rather have Aguero as the midfield options are much better for me. If Salah, he did seem very hungry. He seemed back to some of his best that we've seen, but we know he's got a 90-minute Champions League game this week, a 90-minute one next week. I mean, he'll start at the weekend because Liverpool would rather win the Prem than win the Champions League, but sadly it's out of their hands. Well, sadly, I don't know if I mean sadly, but I imagine Salah will be hungry again and will quite easily return, but they were playing Huddersfield, right? Huddersfield at home is probably the easiest fixture there is. So don't expect him to get you 16, 18 points, whatever he got you. So 20 points or whatever it is he scored. Don't expect that from him. I still expect him to be hungry. But it's not like when he hasn't been returning, he hasn't been hungry. He's done a lot for the team, whether he's returning points or not. So if I had Salah in my team, it would be something even different. I suppose Mane is outperforming Salah at the moment, apart from the last game week. But I would just prefer a home fixture, I think. But oh, thank you, Jano. That means a lot. That really does help. Thank you. I'm struggling to get a few people in here today, but that's because I haven't streamed. Have you seen the? That is unbelievable. What Spurs have tweeted. Sorry, Spurs have tweeted this picture, which you only see half of the number, and it looks like a 10. And there's been rumours that Spurs will have Harry Kane back tonight. How many points am I on total? 2255 is my total currently. Sorry, yeah, 2255 is my current total. Sorry, just got to tweet this out to. There we go. Yeah, how about you guys? don't think Kane is going to be playing tonight, but it was a hopeful thought for Spurs fans. Yeah, guys. So if that's all your questions that you've got for me, thank you all for coming by to my first stream again. I'll be back next week. It'll be Tuesday again, setting up, and I might even Jano. Yeah, sorry. I just checked my latest tweet. Spurs also tweeted something. It just looks like a 0 in the photo of the shorts that have been tweeted out. But I don't think he'll play, but I think there's a lot around it. So the player of the month nominees are Hazard, Henderson, Laporte, Long, Perez, Salah, Vardy, Chris Wood. It won't go to Hazard. He's not been good enough. I don't think Henderson. I think he'll probably end up on one of the big players, but I think it should go to Shane Long, Perez, or Jamie Vardy. If I'm honest, looking at that, Laporte's also been very good actually. So, but it never really goes to a defender. Yeah, guys, always check me out. I'm always fairly as up to date as I can be on news. But yeah, I'll be live again next Tuesday. I hope to see you all there. And I might even be doing a special stream live to watch the last games of the season. And if that's something you'd like, message me on Twitter. Then I tried to organise I messaged sort of FPL family and people like that to try and get FPL family, Sam and Lee, a few people from Who Got the Assist to see if we wanted to do a sort of a mass stream where everyone streamed and sort of reported on a different game or on their game weeks, and we sort of chatted and interacted as a big last of the day of the season thing, which I thought would be great, and JNO you could have got involved in happily, but everyone's busy or everyone's got other things on. So sadly, maybe the first day of the next season or something like that, or a Christmas special or something, but we'll see. Any news on Rashford? Nothing apart from the rumour that he's going to miss both games, but nothing more than that, lawyer. Wait for the pressers is all I can say, and keep up to date on their Instagram and Twitter. But yeah, guys, thank you very much for coming by. I look forward to message me on Twitter, any of it, and I look forward to seeing you all next week. Enjoy the football tonight, tomorrow, and good luck in your game weeks. Bye, guys.